Hi everyone, I'm David Scranton and thank you for clicking this video because today we're talking about the economy. And recently we've seen soaring inflation, issues with the supply chain, and now rising interest rates. The question becomes, where will it end? And what does this ultimately mean for your retirement? And now, of course, it's time to bring in my good friend, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services, a retirement income store in Melbourne, Florida. Jeff, always great to spend time with you.
And you as well, Dave.
Yeah. And of course, now to bring in one of our favorite guests, and that's Jim Rogers, chairman of Rogers Holdings and Beeland Trust Incorporated. Jim Rogers, thanks so much for being back with us here on the Income Generation.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, but maybe I don't have, maybe Jeff just has all the answers.
I have all the answers, Jim, but I'd rather hear them from you, and so would everybody else.
Okay, you correct me if I'm wrong.
I will definitely do that. But, you know, on that note, you make me laugh. You're funny. On that note, here we sit today. In our last conversation, a quick recap, we thought volatility was going to happen in the back half of this year, and it's happened way more recent than that. And now the market's recovered, and the undercurrent of the market is positive, even in a rising rate environment. The next question I have for you, though, is, will the Fed do the right thing and not accelerate rates too quickly and kill the market and the economy? And will they do that because of Russia invading Ukraine?
Jeff, what do you mean is the Fed going to do the right thing? They're bureaucrats, they're incompetents, they're academics. What are you talking about? I guess I've been around longer than you. All they care about is keeping their jobs. They don't care about you and me. And they think that if they print more money, everything will be okay. Yeah, they have to raise interest rates, but I assure you, Jeff, if things get messy, they'll slow down. They're amateurs.
Well, that's why you're answering the questions and I'm asking them, Jim. For that exact reason, you're very entertaining, and I think that's the correct answer. They are amateurs, and they're behind the yield curve. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm skeptical, Jim, about this this ability for them to raise rates 6 more times this year. What's your best guess? Do you think the Fed's going to pull it off, or do you think they're going to find a reason to stop?
Well, David, they should raise it 6 more times. They're far behind. I mean, they've been telling us there's no inflation for, since the beginning of time.
But the question is, as bureaucrats, will they?
We all know there's inflation. So they're behind. But I cannot imagine that they will do it 7 times this year because it will hurt too much and they will panic. They should, but I doubt if they will.
Yep, they'll find an excuse not to. That's what Jeff and I have talked about all along.
So let's switch gears here for a minute and talk about something really exciting, Jim. We know that the electric vehicle adoption rate is doubling every 14 months. And that's a global phenomenon. So is this energy's last hurrah? At some point, will energy just collapse in prices in maybe 3, 4, 5 years? What's your forecast on that?
Well, Jeff, known reserves of oil have been in decline for some time. We had a bubble in fracking, which put off the problems with energy supplies. Now the war, of course, has made it worse. But no, there are going to be continued problems in the hydrocarbons business, oil and gas, for some time to come because known reserves are declining. Yes, fracking will help us, but now everybody knows that fracking was a bubble and you got to pay your bills.
Is that even true if Trump gets reelected? I'm teasing you. Is that true even if President Trump gets reelected in 2024?
Wait, it doesn't matter who's the president in 2024. That's not going to make suddenly more gas and oil reserves to suddenly be in the ground. Whoever, if the president of Exxon is elected president, it's still not going. That's not going to make more gas and oil in the ground. We have an ongoing problem, and it gets worse, Jeff, because everybody is down on coal, so we close the coal mines. Well, fine, that's okay if that's what you want, but that means less energy. Then you close the nuclear power plants. That's okay, but that means less energy.
I know you have predicted for a while a long-term bear market in the United States, but commodities you've been relatively bullish on. Is that part of the reason why you've been bullish on commodities? Because of limited supplies that are becoming more and more apparent?
Well, no, of course, whenever supply goes down, whatever it is, and demand either goes up or stays the same, it means you're going to have higher prices. I mean, David, you know, nobody has become a farmer. The average age of farmers in America is 58. The average age of farmers in Japan is 66. I could go on and on. I mean, you know how to, I suggest you learn how to drive a tractor, Dave, both of you.
That's a great idea, Dave. Why don't we just go buy, a couple hundred acres and start planting?
There you go. That's great. Hey, you run a boat, fly an airplane, just driving a tractor should be easy after all that.
Buy more than 200 acres. You'll be really, really, really rich.
Not a bad idea, Jim. Not a bad idea. But with all this stuff going on, and Ukraine being the largest wheat producer, the third, I guess, largest wheat producer, and Russia being the fifth largest, we know that there's going to be significant depressions in those countries. And what's the reverberating effect going to be on our markets? Even though the current uptrend of the market, the undercurrent is up, what do you see happening in relation to the geopolitical issues?
Well, unless there's all out really horrible war, what we have so far is bad enough. But I'm talking about, armies marching around the countries of Europe. The markets are telling me this is not going to last much longer. You can see what's happening. Stocks are going up, oil is going down. I mean, somebody thinks that this is going to end fairly soon. If it doesn't, then first prepare for a horrible bear market. We're going to have a horrible bear market eventually. But if this turns into war, oh my gosh, I cannot remember any market that likes war.
Jim, you recently were talking to a bunch of first-time investors. And I believe your words were that they should stay informed and buy what they know, which is good advice. But if I'm in technology, let's say, and I buy all technology stocks, then I'm not diversified. So can you expound on what you meant by that?
Well, David, when I went to Wall Street, there were all these people who were educated and older and experienced. I thought they all knew what they were doing. It didn't take me long to realize they don't know any more than I do. True. We're all sitting here fumbling around together. But I finally learned, if you want to be a successful investor, stay with what you know. Everybody watching this knows something about automobiles or sports or fashion or something. Stay with what you know. And when something comes up that you know will be a positive change, do some research and buy the stock. And then send me an email and I'll do research too. That's how you get rich. If I told you, David, you could only have 20 investments in your life, you wouldn't listen to hot tips. You wouldn't be jumping in and out of things every week. You would stay until you saw something that you knew was going to work. You would research it, you would buy it, you would own it for a long time, and you would know when to sell it. That's how you become successful. Jumping in and out, using hot tips, that's not going to work.
Well, you're right, Jim. And if you think about it, most wealth, real wealth in this world, is created by people who really aren't diversified because they're in an area, they specialize in that area, and they have a niche. But for average investors, everyone's told to diversify across the board regardless. So Jeff Small, Jim Rogers, it's been our pleasure. Thank you so much for being here today on The Income Generation.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching today's video, 8 essential ingredients to a successful retirement plan. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up button to give us a like, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for new content each and every week.